So, does PJ Haggerty know what he's doing, or has he severely misplayed the portal?
You are Locked On College Basketball, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? Welcome into the Locked On College Basketball Podcast, the only daily national college hoop show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your college basketball content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you so much for making this your first listen or watch to get your college basketball content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and you can catch every episode ad-free on Amazon Music. Special shout out to all the everydayers with us, all the great members of the Locked On College Basketball Discord as well. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com to get 50% off your first year. Okay, coming up on the show today, we got several portal things we're looking at. First off, PJ Haggerty. I feel like maybe he's really severely misplayed this whole portal situation, but the money's coming in. He's not taking it. I'm really curious to talk about that. Duke fills in their starting small forward position, at least in my opinion, with a transfer from Washington State. And St. John's lands yet another transfer, but this time it's a player coming from the NAIA. Interesting. We'll talk about all that. But we got to start with PJ Haggerty. The rumor, the big, thing, which I haven't heard discounted, so I've been assuming it's true, is that PJ Haggerty and his team put out there into the universe, hey, we're looking for $4 million in this thing. I'm sorry. $4 million. Okay. First off, to me, it was an odd move to just put that number out there. Because to me, that's going to immediately scare off a whole bunch of would-be suitors that might come in the door, and then you could, it's like playing poker where you get somebody in and then they start anteing and putting more in the pot, and eventually you get them to where you want them, right? Like, it feels like he maybe could have done that. It feels to me like bad advice on how to approach this situation, because I would almost guarantee that the second I heard $4 million, 90%, and I'm just guessing, 90% of the schools in America are like, I'm out immediately. Instead, if you just said, hey, I'm in the portal, I'd like to play point guard, because that's another thing. He wants to primarily be point guard. Who's in? Would love to field some calls from you, some texts, some Zooms, some FaceTimes, some Microsoft Teams, which, but let's talk. Let's see what we're doing here. And then maybe you can get up to some of these big numbers. But it's just a weird way to approach it. Why price yourself out of teams that could be a great fit for you? Seems odd to me. Anyway, we are down, it sounds like, to a Final Four schools now of NC State, Will Wade, good grief, Texas, Ole Miss, which would be very interesting, and a potential return to Memphis, question mark? I think it would be the most hilarious move in this whole PJ Haggerty thing would be if he wound up at Ole Miss. A big part of that to me is because of Oxford, where Ole Miss is, Oxford's proximity to Memphis. If you've never been and you're like, yeah, but Memphis is in Tennessee and Oxford's in Mississippi. Well, okay, maybe you don't know geography, but I grew up in the South. Tennessee is super duper crazy long. I went to school in far east Tennessee, like farther east than Knoxville, and it was a 9-hour drive across to Memphis. Like, it was crazy far. And Memphis sits basically right on the Mississippi border. It's way down southwest Tennessee, basically. And from Memphis, like, we have good friends in Birmingham, Alabama. So when I'm driving from southwest Missouri, I go right through Memphis, down through Oxford, all the way to get to Birmingham. And it's very short. We always stop in Memphis to eat Central Barbecue. Good night. By the way, if you're ever in Memphis, go to Central Barbecue. It's crazy. But we stop and eat there, and it's not too long after that before we get to Oxford. And so I think that would be hilarious, because then he's just moving, a little bit down the road there, which is pretty crazy stuff. And for Ole Miss, they pretty hard need it, right? Like, yes, Malik Dia is sticking around, and I think they could make a dynamic, like, pick and roll pairing. But Ole Miss goes out. They bring in Corin Johnson from Louisville. They bring in AJ Storr, who had a big fall off when he transferred to Kansas. Just didn't have the year that he had previously. Corey Chess, the forward, comes over from LSU. They get a couple other guys just this week. Butler's Augusto Cassia comes in, and then a guard from France. He's like a 6'5", kind of big guy. I'm very intrigued by the way, Elias Kamardine. And I'm not sure if that's how you say his last name, but that's how I've been saying it. And so it's an intriguing mix, but I believe in Chris Beard's ability to coach a basketball team. And so PJ Haggerty going there would be really interesting. And the rumor this week was that they're putting $3.5 million on the table. And look, I know that that's not $4 million, but I would be running to snatch that money. I just, maybe he doesn't want to go to Ole Miss, but why would you narrow it down to your Final Four? You're asking for 4, and you get an offer for 3.5. I'm not seeing a market, or at least I'm not hearing of a market for $4 million. That seems like a pretty plum deal to me. So I wouldn't be shocked if he took that. But now noise has come out that Memphis might be in the game with a $3 million offer on the table. And even though, yes, that's $500,000 less, it's also very perplexing to me, if I'm Penny Hardaway, that PJ's not taking this offer. Because to get more money, to come back to the place where you were just an All-American, where you were just an absolute dude. It's known. They know how to utilize you. Clearly, Penny knows how to use PJ well. Like, that would just make a ton of sense to me. And it's like, yes, I know 500,000 is 500,000, or $1 million if you could get to is 4, but still $3 million to stay home. It's not even a home discount. Like that, I would jump at that chance. So if I'm Penny, I'm like, why haven't you pulled the trigger on that yet? That doesn't make any sense to me. And, you know, because there's also reports that Memphis is like, I think we're good with our guards. It's interesting, man. It's a really interesting dynamic that I don't know what to make of it. If Texas could land him with Coach Miller coming down to Austin, I mean, Tremont Mark's coming back, St. John's transfer Simeon Wilcher's coming in. That would be a really intriguing backcourt. The two of them and PJ Haggerty together. You know, Coach Miller would be licking his chops with that. But Will Wade in Raleigh at NC State, I mean, he can get dudes from all over the place. Apparently, there's a connection between Coach Wade and PJ's agent, so that's part of it. NC State has got some nice pieces already. They recently got Terrence Arsenault from Houston. Could be building something there. And NC State, I know it was with Kevin Keats, but they've had a whole slew of really, really good guards in the last several years. End of the day for me. This is not the same situation as Nico Iamaleava at Tennessee, but it is similar in that, to me, this is another high-profile example of badly misplaying the portal. I just don't think PJ and or the people around him have gone about this well. But he's got a deal for, reportedly got a deal for $3 million on the table from Memphis, reportedly got a deal for 3.5 from Ole Miss. If I'm him, I'm snatching one of those up quick. And if I'm those coaches, I'm putting a timeline on him. Come grab it. Really interesting stuff. I'm intrigued by it. Even though I don't think he's played it well, I am intrigued. I'm here for the show. I'm really interested to see where PJ is going to land. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Where do you think PJ Haggerty will ultimately wind up? Now, let's move to another school that is working in the transfer portal, Duke Blue Devils. More than brave enough, yes, I am a corny dad, to go grab Washington State small forward transfer Cedric Coward. Does he complete their starting 5? In my opinion, yes. I'll explain in just a second. Right after I tell you about the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Crazy. You can turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with a Fire TV Stick 4K device. No console required. That's so cool. You just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. You can dive into hundreds of premium titles like EA Sports College Football 25, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and so many more. You can do that as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, all right there on your Fire TV. You can play high-quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of a console. But maybe you're like, okay, fine, Isaac, but I already have a console. What good is this to me? Well, here's what's cool. A Fire TV stick, very movable. Console, less so. So maybe you're going to be on the go this summer. Take a Fire TV stick with you and play wherever it is you plug in. But maybe you don't have interest in gaming. Who cares? I'm kind of that way. I don't play many video games, but I have a Fire TV stick on every TV in my house because we use it for all our TV watching, for logging into the service we use for watching live TV, for all the streaming services. It's great. It's so easy to navigate, and I love how customizable it is. Check it out. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. This week, Duke has picked up a portal commitment from the Pacific Northwest, and that's Washington State transfer Cedric Coward, who comes to Duke, choosing them over Nate Oates and the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's worth noting, I should say right out of the gate, that Coward is a legitimate NBA draft prospect and currently still has his name in. I will say right out of the gate, though, also that I ultimately expect him to come back to school. And in 2025-26, I expect that we will see him in a Duke uniform. Quick bio blast. Coward is 6'6". He's 206, originally from Fresno, California. So he is a West Coast kid. He spent 1 year at a D3 school, Willamette University, then 2 years at Eastern Washington, last year at Wazoo, and now comes east to Duke. One place I want to start is it is a little hard to know what to make of Coward for this reason. Last year at Wazoo, at the highest level he's played at, he only played 6 games because he had a torn labrum and had surgery and was done for the year. But he was really good in those 6 games, 17.7 points a game, 7 boards, 3.7 assists, 2.2 turnovers. I got to be fair there, but 1.7 blocks from the small forward position. Shot 40% from 3 on 5 attempts a game, 12 of 30 total. Again, not a massive sample size in 6 games. 83.9% from the free throw line, 26 of 31 total. Again, in 6 games, it's probably a more helpful exercise for me to give you the full numbers of those games. In those 6 individual games he played, trying to get his game log pulled back up, had 23, 18, 4, 9, 30, and 22. So you see a small sample size there, had a 30 burger, but also a 4 and a 9. And so it's like averaged out though to 17. So then I want to rewind and look at a full season, but the last full season was at Eastern Washington, which is obviously not as high a level as would be Wazoo. But at Eastern Washington in 2023-24 as part of the Big Sky Conference, averaged 15.4 points a game, 6.7 boards, 1.7 assists to 2.2 turnovers, just around a steal and a block per game. Shot 38.3% from 3 on 4.2 per game and 89.5% from the free throw line on 2.7 per game. So the numbers were pretty commensurate. And something also that's encouraging to me is Coward has just progressed in kind of I'm not calling him Dalton Connect. Do not hear me say that. But it's that same kind of trajectory, right? Where he's just succeeded at every level and he's stepped up his level from stop to stop to stop, from D3 to a Big Sky school to a Western Coast Conference school, former Pac-12 school, now to a school coming off a Final Four in Duke that's one of the best in the nation annually. And, you know, Connect's journey has finished all the way up to the Lakers, right? And so there's good precedent for this. So the question is, what do we make of what we've seen from Cedric Coward? And that's a great question to ask that might be a little bit tough to answer. But I would say that he is going to be a really good player for Duke. Yes, those numbers might drop some, but even if he could stay at like 13 points a game, 5 boards, 2 assists, something like that. And the 3-point shooting has been consistent from stop to stop. So as a floor, let's say 36, 37%. As a floor, let's say low to mid 80s at the free throw line. I'll take that, man. I'll take that any day from my small forward. On the Duke side of things, it's a big difference from what they were trying to do last year. Remember last year, yes, they had some portal needs, but it wasn't about filling necessarily starting assignments, although I know Sion James ultimately worked his way into the starting lineup, which was the right move by Coach Shire. But last year, they were more trying to fill depth roles and were able to find experienced, tall, lengthy guys to fill out the roster who knew what they were stepping into. A difference this year is that Duke does need to fill out like some starting spots, specifically, in my opinion, at the 3, at the small forward. And so as I look at Coward, I think Duke has landed who can be. I'm not specifying that he will be. I would just say as of today, I would think that he would be Duke's starting small forward next year. And I think that's a great pickup for them. Because this is a question I've been asking. I in talking Duke with JJ Jackson, our Locked On Blue Devils host, I've talked with him and said, basically, in my opinion, I think Caden Boozer comes with Proctor going off to the NBA and with Caleb Foster not really being able to take the reins of the starting point guard last year. Maybe he will. Maybe he takes a jump this year. But I think Caden Boozer comes in as point guard from day one. I think Isaiah Evans, since he's staying, is going to be the 2. I think Cam Boozer is your no-brainer at the 4. And then at the 5, it's either Pat Gongba or Malik Brown, both of whom are sticking around. And good grief. I mean, that's insane to still have both of those guys. But I saw a hole at small forward, and I think that's where Cedric Coward, again, slots right in, and I think that's a great answer for Duke, who, oh, by the way, if that's true of them, is going to stay really, really big. Maybe not as overwhelmingly monstrously big as last year, which, I mean, it was just crazy, but still very, very, very big. With that starting 5 that I just said, Caden Boozer, 6'5", Isaiah Evans, 6'6", Cedric Coward, 6'6", Cam Boozer, 6'9", Patrick Gongba, 6'11". So again, you would not be having any starter under 6'5". That's crazy. John Shire knows what he's looking for, and he's getting it consistently. Coward, obviously, because of only playing those 6 games last year, does have a medical red shirt, so he's going to be able and ready to go, is what it sounds like. That he's going to be fully released medically pretty soon here, like at some point this summer, maybe even on the earlier part of it. And so that should be a good thing. And it's really interesting on the Duke side of things. They are one of 3 teams nationally to not lose anyone to the transfer portal this offseason. Now, to be fair, obviously, Shelton Henderson decommitted, went to Miami to join Jay Lucas down there. And then you're replacing your entire starting 5, 4 of whom are early entrants into the draft, and one of whom is Sion James, who's out of eligibility, but is in the draft process as well. So Duke's whole starting lineup is in the draft process right now, so they got to replace all of that and Shelton Henderson. So yes, don't lose a transfer, but have a lot to replace, and I think that Coward helps that in a really, really big way. Ultimately, this to me is a great add for John Shire and company. One other transfer I did want to mention, we're not going to spend really any time on it today, but Darion Reed goes from Alabama to Oklahoma. I think this is another, I said I think Coward's a great pickup for Duke. I think Reed is a really nice addition for Porter Moser and the Sooners, and so excited to see what he can do in a slightly different shade of red there in Oklahoma. Well, I mentioned it earlier. St. John's just keeps adding and adding and adding in the portal. Great talent. And now they add another big man. But interestingly, it's a big man from an NAIA school. And oh, by the way, it just so happens it's my alma mater, Milligan University. How about that? We'll talk to the head coach of Milligan University, Coach Bill Robinson, coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Monarch Money, do you ever check your bank account and wonder, hey, where'd all my money go? Well, the problem is, from dining out to online shopping to entertainment things that we get into, it's so easy to lose track of it all. And it's like, crud, I should have taken better care. Well, that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility to and control over all your finances. And what's cool is that Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, all your investments, and all your spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and actually start building wealth. I also like that because of that one-stop shopping, you don't have to juggle a whole bunch of different apps to figure out maintaining your finances. You can use Monarch to check those finances, even plan out long-term goals for yourself. My wife and I were always trying to stay on the same page financially, and this makes that so much easier. I'm so grateful to Monarch Money for that. You can track shared accounts, personal accounts. You can set goals and stay on the same page without all the stress. If you want to do that too, take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Again, that's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Always fun to have new guests on the show. Joining us, though, today on Locked On College Basketball, it might be a stranger to you, but is a dear friend of mine. This is Coach Bill Robinson, the head coach of the Milligan University Buffaloes in Johnson City, Tennessee, an NAIA school. And oh, by the way, just so happens to be my alma mater. For those of you that know that I host Locked On Tar Heels as well, Coach Rob works Carolina's basketball camp every summer, has been doing that for 2 decades. And so the reason we have him on the show today is because in an interesting turn of events, his big man from this past year, Handje Tamba, is actually transferring away from Milligan and is going to a Big East school. Coach Rob, welcome in. So glad you're here. A fun, just random coincidence that one of your players is now headed to the D1 level. And so it makes a ton of sense to have you on the show here to talk about him. What's going on?
Oh, yeah, I'm extremely excited for Handje. It's just a big step for him. Tamba started at Tennessee, redshirted there. After a year, they basically said he didn't fit into their plans. Went into the portal, and Weber State reached out, and he committed almost immediately, within a week, to go to Weber State. He's a brilliant, smart kid, genius. So he actually graduated his undergrad degree in 3 years. So when he went back into the portal, he just wanted to play. Got contacted by his AAU coach, and Milligan was a perfect fit for him. We've got a great MBA program. So even though he graduated in 3 years, he got into our graduate program. We were able to get him housing, able to get him, really great situation. And it's a 2-year program. So we thought he was going to be here for 2 years. And then he came to me after the season, had our postseason meetings. And at 11 o'clock in the morning, he said, I'm staying. And I said, great. And at 6 p.m. that night, he rolled up to my house. And my wife and I were walking the dog, and I said, this can't be good. And we went in and said that he just had that desire to get back to the Division I level. None of us thought that it would be at St. John's with Coach Pitino. But that's where he's going to end up. He committed there yesterday. And we're, again, super excited for him. Pretty disappointed for us because we loved having him. Just very rare to have a 7-foot athlete at our level. And but we appreciated what he did for us this year, being able to lead us to a conference championship, tournament championship.
Man, that's good. Well, thank you for all that backstory, Coach. It's just good to know kind of his progression, and I think it's a sign of the times of where things are at. Not just I think here on the show we are so often talking about the D1 level, but now we're starting to see some interplay between these levels of the NCAA divisions as well as the NAIA. We look at Bennett Sturtz and what all he was able to do at Drake this year, coming up from the Division II level at Northwest Missouri State. And so there's all that kind of stuff as well. And so, Coach, what is the expectation? Because I know, St. John's has been adding a ton of talent in the transfer portal. Obviously, they lose Big East Player of the Year, RJ Lewis, right now is in the NBA draft process as well as in the portal, and so they expect to lose him. There's some other guys out the door, but obviously they have their big entrenched in Zuby Ejiofor. So in terms of what we can expect for Tamba there at Big East, is it we expect him to be in the rotation? Is it kind of some insurance on the back end for foul or injury issues? Where do you see his role there for the Johnnies?
Yeah, he played great in his workout. And he got to play against the guys there. He got to play against some of the visiting, talent that they had there too. He's an insurance policy. he's there to make sure that, whether it's, foul trouble at the end of the first half, get a couple minutes to get to them at halftime, or, if somebody's in foul trouble, get to play that 6 to 8 minutes a game. I think that would be a role that he would relish. I think that's something that he would love to do. He's huge. I mean, he's 6'11", 7 foot. He's long. He can run like a deer. He's got great feet. He'd be able to move and guard. At our level, he'd guard anybody. At that level, he can probably guard 3 or 4 different people. Those quick point guards, I'm not sure he can stay in front of, but he can guard, because of his length, pretty much everybody else. He's not going to score. He scored 10 points a game for us. He's not going to go there and be the guy that they throw the ball into the post and let him just go to work. But he can make open jump shots. And, I think for what they need him to do, being that second, third string post, I think he can fill that role very, very well.
So in terms of translatable skills, Coach, I mean, as you said, 7 foot is 7 foot. I don't care how you slice it. That's big and long. What are the things that you've seen from Tamba? And I know you just spoke some to this, but like at a specific level, whether it's rebounding, rim protection, just presence in the lane. It sounds like the defensive end of the floor is where he will be more of an asset. But what is the skill that you think is the most translatable that he does so well?
Yeah, the biggest skill that's translatable is the defensive end. He can move his feet so well. I wouldn't say he blocks a ton of shots. He blocks more shots than anybody we've had in a long, long time. But he creates havoc at the defensive end because he contests everything. For us, we play 2 or 3 Division I schools every year, and for the first time ever, we've had big guards penetrate into the lane and Tamba come over and then just turn and pivot and want to get rid of the ball. I'm like, that's never happened at our level before. We played Tennessee Tech. We got to play a kid named David Craig, transferred from Mercer to Tennessee Tech. He's 7'5", and Tamba competed with him and banged with him, but he also took him out of the perimeter, hit 2 threes against him. And again, Tamba's not a lights out 3-point shooter, but he has a good looking shot. It looks good coming out of his hands. And if people play off of him, he can make that shot too. So you want, again, Steve Robinson, who just is retiring from Arizona, and I are good friends. And one of the things he taught me along the way was, can't shoot, don't recruit. Well, Tamba can shoot it a little bit too. And he was not allowed to shoot jumpers at Weber State. They did not want him to shoot anything. There was one highlight of one jumper from the elbow, and he made it. And he's like, I can do this. So the thing that's exciting for me, and this is where, people are like, how is he going to play at that level coming from Milligan? We've seen him get better and better and better. He's better today than what he was when he got here, and he's just going to get better against those competition. And, no offense to me, but against the top coaching that he can get. You get Pitino, who was one of my instructors when I was at 5-star as a high school kid, and I got to see, the genius that is Rick Pitino. But it is going to be different playing for him than playing for me. We end of the spectrum, probably, a little bit different. I'm not a fusser and a cusser, and he's going to hear things a little bit differently at St. John's. But he's a tough kid. He'll take it. It'll motivate him, and it'll be different. But I think it's going to be good for him as well.
That's well said about Coach Pitino, man. He has no problems letting you know what he thinks of you. I remember 2 years ago when he talked about his team being slow-footed and they couldn't move laterally and all this stuff. And so, but yeah, I mean, if you're a defensive player and you go play for Rick Pitino, that's a skill that he will certainly want to be able to utilize. And so, Coach, I'm so grateful for you and your time and your insight. Is there anything else that would be good and healthy to share with everyone about Tamba or Milligan or the process or anything at all?
Yeah, I think it's just a neat opportunity for a kid that's been through it all. He's from the Congo originally, came over, got adopted by an American family, and he's kind of living the American dream, being able to get his degree. But it all comes down to when you're a great student and you're a great person, great things, opportunities will happen for you, and that's who he is. He's just a great young man, and people love him. Real quick story, one of the very first days he was at Milligan, I walked in the cafeteria, and he's in there having lunch with the 65-year-old track assistant coach, and they're just hanging out talking. And I'm like, what is that? And that's him. That's Tamba. Everybody loves him. He has no problem talking to anybody at any time. He's a very mature guy. And I think this is an opportunity again. And he knows, hey, I might not play at all. I may play 8 minutes. I may play 10. I may play 3 minutes. I don't care. He just wants an opportunity to test himself against the very best. And I told him from day one, I'd help take care of him. And he's got an opportunity to play professionally. somewhere, not in the NBA, I don't think, but somewhere. But he's going to have an undergrad and 2 master's degrees by the time he's done at St. John's. So the future is very bright for him off the court as much as it was on the court.
Man, that's so encouraging to see that when basketball ends, which it will for everyone, right? That there are things he can fall back on and rely on as well. That's great to hear. Coach Bill Robinson, thank you so much for your time. Really grateful. Good luck to the Buffs and getting your roster put together for next season. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
My thanks to Coach Rob for stopping by to join us today to unpack Handje Tamba and everything he will bring to Rick Pitino and St. John's. Really interested to see, again, where PJ Haggerty ends up landing. Is it back at Memphis or elsewhere? And how Cedric Coward slots right in and helps Duke out this season. Folks, Andy and I will be back with you on tomorrow's show, sending you off into the weekend. We're going to start by talking about the Big Ten conference scheduling opponents. That'll be a fun conversation. Looking forward to that. If you haven't subscribed to Locked On College Basketball on video and audio, make sure you do that right now so you don't miss a second of the show all summer long. You're headed to the beach, tune in. We'd love to hang out and be with you. If you haven't joined the Locked On College Basketball Discord, it's a group of folks talking college basketball all the time, man. We'd love to have you there. That link is also in the show notes. As always, apologies to the Lawyer family. Let's go Wild Pope. Shouts to Mick Bruins, and until tomorrow, peace.